Hi class, welcome to week 6. Let's get started. Okay, last week you submitted your compare and contrast essay. Most essays have been received and returned. To increase your grade, please take advantage of working with DeVry tutoring staff via online. Be sure to submit your revised final copy in the same assignment area as the first compare and contrast essay. Week 6 lesson. Today we're going to talk about revising and refining. This week you will learn strategies for refining your argument in your cause and effect essay. Last week you focused on developing foundational elements of your assignment, including designing a preliminary thesis and conducting research to help support your argument. This week, you will work on developing key skills to help you effectively integrate source material, refine the structure of your argument, and revise for clarification. All of these skill sets, argumentation, organization, and revision, are skills that you can easily transfer to another assignment and courses in educational and professional spaces. You get it all the time. You have to write a paper for this, you have to write a paper for that. It's not only just to the English classes, it's not only directed to the English classes to perform these type of assignments. So as you progress through the week, keep special notes on progress to help sharpen your skills and prepare for new writing challenges. Our goals for this week are strengthen arguments through critical analysis, practice methods for using research as evidence, focus on details such as paragraph and sentence structure, to refine writing. Now our spotlights for this week are critical thinking, information literacy, communication, global awareness, and technology literacy. So refining arguments. To get started this week, consider the argument in the video. What are the causes and effects of the argument? How does the speaker frame their argument? What is in the introduction and conclusion? What is the structure of the argument? So you want to read this questions that are available for you and read the little passage regarding the author and what's going on in the video, and then click on the video and watch the video. Heather McGee is speaking on the video, and she exposes some things that she learned about racism by buddying up with a guide who called in to a station and wanted to confess his racism. So listen to that and see what you can get out of it and focus on the questions. Now, focusing your argument, we're going to start looking at your topics a little more in detail for your compare and contrast essay or your cause and effect essay. Last week, you selected the topic and outline and began writing your cause and effects essay. So this week, you will continue writing and refining and will incorporate sources in your work. Last week, we were supposed to incorporate 2 sources in our work in the compare and contrast essay, but some students did not get that part of the assignment. So please make sure that you are adhering to all of the assignment requirements. So this time you will have another opportunity to incorporate in sources and refine your research techniques. So as you write your argument, the main point you are trying to make, that is your thesis, what you're trying to say, the main point that you are trying to make. It should be increasingly focused on honing in specific causes and effect as you analyze. You just can't assume that one thing caused the other. So you have to be real specific in your terms when you're analyzing. When you first select a topic, you may begin with a fairly broad notion of your argument. As you conduct research, your sources will provide you with information that will sharpen your understanding of the topic. For example, you might find through research that what you assume to be a major cause of an effect was less important than some other causes, because as you're researching, you're finding out more and more details about your subject. So similarly, you might discover that the cause or causes had crucial effects you weren't aware of, or that were additional links in the causal chain that you had overlooked. So continuing our discussion of the causes of Apple's tremendous success from last week, one might initially assume that Steve Jobs' leadership was the primary cause. However, in conducting additional research, one might learn that there were many others who made vital contributions as well. So in addition, Apple's continued success after Jobs' death demonstrates that the company's success is not solely due to one person. As this example shows, it is important to remain open-minded about causes and effects and to use research-based evidence to further refine one's argument. So using sources, use highly quality, reputable sources. This is an excellent way to build your authority. You don't want to, say for instance, use research on brain surgery, and this references by Dr. Spock, who is actually a baby doctor. You would not want to use him as your expert for brain surgery. So find credible sources that are going to support your thesis. There are a few important points to keep in mind when using sources. So first and foremost, sources provide support for your ideas, but they are not a substitute for your own original thinking. You can't just plug in all of the sources and let them talk for you. Your voice has to be the vehicle that's driving the essay. You do not use the sources to be the main point and then you come in to inject your points. You want to be the main voice in your essay, and you want to use your sources to support your contentions, your claims of your essay. So to avoid this problem, it is better to begin the writing process by brainstorming and free writing one's own ideas on the topic first, and then thinking about how sources may be used to support those ideas. Inexperienced writers have the tendency to lean heavily on their sources to the point that their essays become more like they're all cobbled together ideas from other people instead of students' own ideas. Instructors like to hear the student's voice. They like to be able to distinguish where the research starts and stops and where the student is also speaking. So we want to go down here. This is a little exercise for telling you the difference between summarizing, paraphrasing, and quoting. Summarizing. This is expressing the main idea of a source in your own words in a condensed form. For example, if a friend were to ask you what a certain novel was about, your reply would be a summary. Paraphrasing. This is expressing the main idea of a passage from a text in your own words and about the same length as the original. Paraphrasing is often used to help explain the meaning of a complex text, such as a poem. Quoting. This is using the exact words from a source that is indicated by the use of quotation marks. Quotations should be concise, memorable, and well placed. You don't want to overuse your quotations because it loses the effect. So finally, think about the best place to use a given source. In writing the cause and effect essay, it will be necessary to assert claims. Those claims will need support. Claims made without evidence are known as unsupported generalizations. For each claim, explain your source and decide which one support your ideas the best. If none of the sources support the claim, search for additional sources or else consider modifying the claim in light of the evidence. So, for example, you have done a lot of research on your subject, and as you're writing, you're finding more information out about your subject than you originally realized. So you can either go with the information that you are finding and refine your thesis to match that information, or you can do further research to find information to better suit your thesis, the main contention of your paper, the main idea, the point you want to make. So if you're not finding enough information and you're finding more information on something that's similar, you might want to refine your thesis and go along with that. So that's generally what this is telling you to do. So APA formatting. APA refers to the American Psychological Association. The APA has created a guide to help researchers to be able to communicate their findings in a concise format that readers will be able to understand. When instructors tell students they must use APA, what they mean is the following. Format the essay in APA style. This refers to the way the title page should look, as well as margins, fonts, headings, subheadings, and so on. Give proper credit to sources by providing the correct in-text references or in-text citations. It's the same. Create a properly formatted list of references on a separate page at the end of the document. Anything that's cited in the document must be referenced on the reference page. Anything that's on the reference page must be cited on inside of the document. There are numerous online resources available to help students with each of these components of the APA format. In your file section of Canvas, there is an APA guide that tells you everything that you need to know, and there's an APA formatted Word document for you to type over. You don't have to guess what fonts to use, what margins to use. Just type over what's there and adopt it as your own. So that's something that I want to tell you about. And in addition, there is a sample essay template and documents provided throughout the course that are written in APA format as well. Chapter 14 in your textbook provides examples of the most common types of in-text citations and references, as well as a sample research paper. Use these resources and ask for help if needed. We're going to go down to the writing lab, and with the writing lab, it says English has many spelling rules, each of which has exceptions. Making things more complex, many words also share the same spelling or sound, but different in meaning. Professional communicators lose credibility if they do not use the correct word or pronunciation. If you aren't sure which words are correct, look them up and carefully consider your options. The editing guide in your textbook lists commonly misspelled words and misused homonyms. So check that out. Play this little game, check your skills. Replace the incorrect words in each sentence and then check on the answers to confirm the corrections. Check your box right here and just type your correct answer here and then view to see what the correct answer is. It will be revealed to you. So if you click view answer, it keeps taking me to the top of the page, but maybe it's a glitch right now, but it will work. You can review the correct answer. So moving right along, the assignment connection this week is revising for paragraph structure. As we have discussed, a paragraph is a collection of related sentences dealing with a single topic. Writing well-organized paragraphs will help you as a writer stay on track during your drafting and revision stages. You can have fantastic ideas, but if those ideas are not presented in a clear and organized fashion, you will not be able to effectively reach your readers or meet your writing goals. So here are some basic rules for your paragraphs. One main idea per paragraph. I always tell my students one thought for paragraph. You want to be sure that your paragraphs do not stray. If you change your thought, then you want to change your paragraph. The basic rule is to develop your paragraphs around one main idea and to stick to it. You can utilize several points or examples within a paragraph as long as they relate to the same idea. If you transition to a new idea, you need to begin a new paragraph. If you find a paragraph getting too long, the length of a page, because you can't have a one-page paragraph, think about how you will break up ideas or example. Elements of a paragraph: unity, coherence, and development. Unity. Does each sentence contribute to developing the main idea of the paragraph? Are there any sentences or constructions that seem out of place? Coherence. Is the paragraph clearly organized? Does the argument make sense and develop the main idea? Does the paragraph provide examples and explanations to help unpack the main idea of the paragraph? What points could use additional elaboration? And that is for development. Now, paragraph structure. The basic structure outline of a paragraph includes the following. You have a topic sentence, evidence, analysis, conclusion, and a transition. For the topic sentence, it introduces the main idea of the paragraph and explains why it is significant to the overall argument of the paper. Evidence provides clear and specific details, evidence to illustrate and support the main idea. Analysis connects the evidence to the main idea of the paragraph and overall thesis of the paper. This is the most important part and should be the most substantial part of the paragraph. Conclusion. Conclude the paragraph by wrapping up the main idea. Transition. Transition to the next paragraph to underscore the relationship between main ideas and build relationships between points of analysis. Here is a sample paragraph for you to consider. Click on the sample paragraph and it will take you directly to it. You read the paragraph and you try to organize it with the components that we just discussed. And here your paragraph. Click next, and it tells you this is a transition to begin with. This is a topic sentence, what causes those changes, and here's the evidence in green. Here's the analysis and the concluding connection to the thesis. And then we break it down even further about outlining each component. This is a model paragraph. Okay, so let's go back. Guide to using sources. Part of revising paragraph structure is also considering how to include source material to help develop your argument. Here is a handy guide with some tips on how to use source material in your writing. So types of source material: summary, paragraph, and quote. We went over this just a little while ago. A summary, when summarizing, you are describing the major ideas of a source in your own words. Paraphrasing, when paraphrasing, you are explaining a specific portion of the source using your own words in your own sentence structures. Quotes, when using a quotation, you are taking a keyword, phrase, or passage directly from a source. A direct quotation conveys the original text immediacy and authority while capturing its tone and style. So using sources in your paper. Step 1, in your introduction, you want to introduce your source. A sentence should never start with a quotation mark because it means that your carefully selected research lacks content. Instead, introduce sources to help create context and build credibility. An example is, in a recent study from Harvard School of Business, ... So step 2, quote, paraphrase, summary. Present your source material. Remember to use quotation marks for a direct quote. Step 3, citation. Use APA format to provide an in-text citation and make sure to include the source in your reference page. Check punctuation. And this is an example. According to Jones, 2020, quoted material, page 4. And here's another one. A recent study suggests, comma, quoted material, and then the information where it can be found. The quoted material is the quote that you're going to put in here. You don't put quoted material. I want to make that clear because some people may think that's what it is, but this is the quote that you're going to use. You replace the word quoted material with the quote you're going to use, and these are the end quotations that you use once you are citing a source in that manner. Step 4, connection and analysis. This is the most important part of using source material in an argument. Remember, no quotes, paraphrases, summary speaks for itself. Make sure you connect the source to your main arguments. And here are some tips for analysis. 2-to-1 ratio. There should be 2 lines of analysis for every line of text that you quote. Highlight a key point from the source to amplify or emphasize it. Expand on the source material or one of the major points to deepen understanding. Connect the source material to your thesis and main points. Next, we have your cause and effect discussion peer review section. Now, in this section, you have been assigned peers. And here they are. Just give them a chance to populate. These are your groups. You can come in here and find out who you are assigned to. But the most important thing is I want you to respond to everyone in this form. Some students are responding in the groups, but their work is not getting transferred over to this form. So put all of your responses in one place. That way I can give you credit for your responses without relying on technology to sort through them for me. So post all of your group work here. In your initial response, post a rough draft of at least the first page, more if possible, of your cause and effect essay no later than Tuesday. Now, this is not, I'm not springing this on you. This is written in your assignment for the week. Preference your rough draft with any questions you may have on the type of feedback you wish to receive. Provide feedback to at least 2 of your fellow team members by no later than Friday, so that you and your fellow students have an opportunity to incorporate that feedback into your final submission. Scroll through the initial posts of your fellow students. Prioritize responding to students who have not received any feedback yet. If everyone has received at least one response, then respond to the student who has received the fewest responses, and so on. In each response to your peers, be sure to answer the following questions in complete sentences. Did the student remember the title to title the essay? If so, was the title catchy and memorable? Would you suggest changing the title? Was the topic of the essay clearly stated in the introduction? What is the topic? What is that topic? What is the writer's organizational approach? Effect of a cause, causes of an effect, a causal chain. Is this approach the most appropriate one for the topic? What was the primary purpose of the essay? Was it intended to be mainly informative or persuasive? How well did the essay achieve this goal? What was your favorite part of the essay? What one thing could the writer do to make the essay even better? I have taken the opportunity to give you guys the instructions so that you can focus on the instructions first and foremost. So the cause and effect essay is due this week. The lesson assigned readings and online discussions will help you complete the assignment successfully. As a reminder, the basic requirements are shown below. You need 4 to 5 pages, and that's 4 to 5 complete pages. If you use the format that's provided for you, there's no question on when to start or stop. One is 4 to 5 pages. You need 4 complete pages. The 5th one is optional, but don't stop prior to 4 complete pages. Don't get on the 4th page and type a few lines and say, I made it to the 4th page. Type all the way down to the bottom, 1-inch margin from the bottom, and then that's when you stop at the 4th page. So compose the essay using Microsoft Word and using 12-point Times New Roman. Format and cite at least 4 high-quality sources using the 7th edition of APA. Consult Chapter 14, pages 389 to 420 for a sample essay and numerous types of citations. Don't forget your initial response to post a rough draft, at least the first page or more of your cause and effect essay no later than Tuesday of this week. Okay? Next. Next, we have your publisher's exercise. You only have 2 this week. This is the other one, editing spelling. And here is where you submit your cause and effect essay. Now, this is what I want to remind you guys again. Take this information, highlight it, Control C, copy it, bring it over to a web page. Let's get a different one. Actually, a Word document, not a web page. You want to bring it over to a Word document, cut and paste it. Now you have it. And bring this little formatting in so you can read it. And come here and clean it up. I want to go ahead and make this font a little smaller so I can manage it. I like to try to get it on 1 or 2 pages. I don't like it too many pages. This kind of messed up a little bit, but the bottom is still okay. Let me see if I can bring it in some so it'll be okay for you. So you know the total points you need 160 points. That's the total points that kind of messed it up. So it's telling you to submit, upload a file. You have to submit a Word document file in order for Canvas to accept it. And this is when it's due, December 6th by 10:59 p.m. For some reason, it's making it double, all of this double stuff here that you really don't need. But that's irrelevant because we're not really, you know your dates, you know when it's due, so you can clean that up if you want to. But the most important thing is I will put the rubric on a separate page. Now you have it all together. And every time when you accomplish something, you want to make sure that you are checking it off. That's the whole point of this. You want to print this. It makes some kind of mistakes in the formatting, but you can go ahead and fix that if it's bothering you. But for the most part, you want to read the categories. So you make sure that you are hitting them to get your maximum amount of points, because this is how we grade your essay. We look at the criteria and we see if you have met the criteria by writing your paper. And then you take this and you say, do I have 4 to 5 pages? If so, cross that off. Did I do a Microsoft Word document using 12-point Times New Roman? If you did, yeah, cross that off. Do I have at least 4 high quality sources cited using the 7th edition of APA? If so, cross that off. If not, look and get help. Go to the chapter and see what you need. And this is how you keep track of your points and know that you have done everything that's needed of you. You don't need the computer in front of you to do that. Print that off. I print it off. When I'm grading your paper, I have the requirements, the rubric right next to me. And I check it off and I tally them up on a sheet of paper. Did they do this? Did they do that? And that's how you get your points. So if we're giving you the key to the assignment ahead of time, just make sure that you guys are following that example. I want to go back to your assignment because I think that this is just about it. So you guys take care, do the best you can. And if you find yourself, I'm trying to stop sharing my screen so I can come back to you. If you find yourself needing help, please don't hesitate to come to me or contact the tutors. That's what they're for. And you don't have to go in person anymore. Everything is done online. I have office hours every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. You guys are welcome to make an appointment and come talk to me. I will review your work one-on-one with you during that time, but I need to know you're coming so I can prepare for you. So make an appointment, contact me, email me, send me a message through Canvas. I get those messages all day. Sometimes the emails are delayed. I don't know why, but the messages that you send from your inbox and Canvas, they are rapid. I get those immediately. I can come to the inbox in Canvas and speak to a student, and then later I find out that this student had sent me an email, but I didn't know that they sent me an email until I got the message in Canvas. So please use Canvas. I think it's the most efficient way. I don't know what happens during the communication, but at any rate, have a good day. Bye.